Great Grand Rising. Beloved, are you still feeling the gap between what you know and what you're living? Here's the truth: you're not waiting for more clarity. Your next level isn't waiting for more clarity, it's waiting for your agreement. Today, you will discover that your true power lives in the gap. Come on, y'all. Let's close this gap. Come on, take a good, healing, deep breath in. Exhale. Relax from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Turn that focus inward to the rich inner life, the kingdom of God within. One more deep breath in and exhale. Are you still feeling a gap between what you know versus what you're actually living? The truth is, you're not waiting for more clarity. Your whole being is waiting for your agreement into what you know. So let's work on closing the gap. And the gap is that space, that disconnect between what you know and what you're actually living in your manifested reality. Last week, when we started opening up this dimension, we're on dimension number 3, right? It's all about alignment now, all about alignment. You started identifying where the misalignment is, right? Where the misalignment is. Today, we want to begin to bridge that gap. We want to now close the gap between what you know and how you live. Come on, if that's resonating, because you're not, we said this last week, you're not a novice. It's not that you don't know anything. It's not that you don't have clarity sometimes, but now we need to move from awareness, head knowledge, right? Head knowledge and heart knowledge. We talked about that. Awareness, understanding, knowledge, right? We want to move from head knowledge, from what you know up here intellectually, to what you know in your heart. And when you know in your heart and you have that clarity, you should be able to anchor yourself and then agree with what you know. What are you talking about, agree? We mean that what you think, what you feel, what you say, what you choose, and then ultimately what you do is all in agreement, where you're not saying one thing but doing another, where you're not just thinking and meditating but never taking that action, never coming into alignment and agreement with that action. So that's the gap that we want to close. But listen to this, beloved. Your true power, your actual power, lives in the gap. That space between knowing and taking action, that gap, the uncomfortability, the frustration, sometimes the melancholy, that's all an invitation to take some aligned action. And we're going to do that. So can we break some things up right now? I just want to break some things up. Let's just do a prophetic activation right here, right now. And I want to break up hesitation, because that is the space where we start leaning to more of the ego mind, flesh mind, carnal mind, whatever language works for you, is in that space of hesitation. But that space of hesitation gives you enough room where you can make a different choice. So when we hesitate, the old carnal mind comes in because we're afraid of getting it wrong. We hesitate because you're waiting for certainty. You want everything to be just right. That's where perfectionism creeps in. So if you want to know why you procrastinate, why you're not consistent, it's because of that hesitation of wanting to get everything right. Perfectionism, procrastination are cousins. They're always going to work hand in hand. So you will never have 100% certainty for the whole plan. You just need to have clarity for your next teeny tiny step and then move with that. And the third reason why we hesitate is overprocessing, analysis paralysis, thinking. One of the things that I know that I have to work with is processing in isolation. That's an old pattern that I think I've done since childhood, right? Going in isolation to process. And there's many reasons why we do that. But the thing about processing in isolation is that you can move into over processing, analysis paralysis, perfectionism, and whatever other shadow behavior that you know you have a tendency toward. And so when we're in this over processing, we get stuck. That can come in forms of research and drafting and editing and calling everybody for a soundboard. You can get stuck with over processing until you come into overwhelm. And when you're overwhelm shuts you down. That's part of the hesitation. But we want to break that up today. I want to break up that fallow ground today. And we want to release hesitation. Because again, you're not waiting for clarity. What's happening in the gap is that you're being invited to move. There's actually a call into movement. And I want us to just pause here for a minute and breathe. And exhale. It's an invitation for movement. And so we just want to say, yes, we can do that. We can take that move. We could take that teeny tiny baby step, right? So when we talk about the gap, to define it in simple terms, it's knowing versus doing, right? It's head knowledge, versus heart knowledge. And I heard somebody say the longest journey is the distance between your head and your heart. And we want to be able to move into heart knowledge, heart activation. So what did we say alignment was last week? It's when you're thinking, your emotions, your speaking, right? Your choices, your actions all come into agreement. I think it's the writer of James in sacred text says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let not that man think he shall receive anything, because there's no coherence. There's no synergy. When you are disconnected from your heart and your head is running and spinning, moving and talking, right? Then there's a disconnect. There's no cohesion. There's no agreement. So that's why I said, beloved, you're not waiting for more clarity. You're waiting for movement. And only you can initiate that movement. So when we define the gap, we're talking about knowing, head knowledge, versus doing, which comes from the heart knowledge. We're talking about awareness versus embodiment. Awareness is the first key. That's the first step to freedom, being able to see and understand, right? But embodiment is the knowing. It is the anchoring in the body where the nervous system is managed, where you can absolutely move on what you know. That is the whole thing. That is the whole thing. Why we are here closing the gap today. Why does a gap exist? It exists because there could be fear. You could be stuck in your comfort zone misery. There's a lack of self-trust. And again, you're overthinking and overprocessing. Again, I want you to breathe that in because this is the core of what we're here for today. We want to make the shift. We want to activate this shift from having awareness, from having clarity, and to taking aligned action. Because trust me, beloved, when you, and I know I'm talking to my folks here, when you could start taking aligned action that's based on divinely inspired insight and heart knowledge, you're going to win every time. You're going to win every time, beloved. So why does the gap exist? Fear of all kinds. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of overwhelm. Why does the gap exist? Comfort zone misery. You are miserable, but it's comfortable. What a paradox. You're miserable, but you're comfortable. Lack of self-trust. But we're going to fix that today. We're not going to overthink. We're not going to overprocess. We're not going to overanalyze. We're going to have trust in ourselves. So here's the truth shift for today. Clarity is not a prerequisite for movement. Please write that down. Clarity is not a prerequisite for movement. It's a result of movement. Please write that down. That'll preach all by itself, beloved. We're stuck in this gap, not having the results that we desire to have, right? But clarity is not a prerequisite for movement. You don't have to know everything to move. I call it the clarity trap. Because you could sit and wait and journal and meditate, asking for more clarity, but you're not moving on what you know. So again, here's the shifting. Clarity is not a prerequisite for movement. It's a result of movement. I cannot tell you the many things that get activated when you start moving. Many things get activated that you can't see, you can't sense, people you won't meet, opportunities that will not open because there's not enough movement. There's not enough currency. The current is not being troubled or stirred up. So what does being in this gap cost you? What does it cost you? The cost of this delay when you're just stuck in the middle, stuck in the gap, it costs you delay. Delay from realizing what you truly desire. When you're stuck in the gap, it weakens your self-trust. You're not moving because you're not trusting yourself, and you will not trust yourself until you move. Right? When you are in this cycle of delay because you're not trusting yourself, then you keep repeating old cycles. You get stuck in a loop and you keep repeating the same cycles over and over again. And number three, the cost of this delay of being stuck in the gap, it creates an energetic stagnation. And you don't want that. You don't want your energy stagnant. You don't want your energy in a place where you become toxic, where your energy becomes chaotic. And then you end up producing the reverse of what you really desire. But let's look at the power of aligned action. When you have this divinely inspired action that you want to take, and you actually move on it because you're in agreement, your thoughts, your emotions, what you say, what you choose, and ultimately what you do is all in agreement. You have that synergy. What's going to happen? Number one, you're going to start building confidence. If you're lacking confidence, it's because you're in that gap of delay, hesitation, fear. The power of aligned action will start building your confidence. You take one teeny tiny step. You don't have to have full clarity to do it. Just move. And then what happens is that you rinse and repeat it. Then you take the next and the next and the next. What happens? You start creating momentum. And that's what we want. We want the big mo. You want to create momentum, because when momentum comes, everything starts coming into play to aid you and support you. Every time you take a teeny tiny step, it builds confidence, and you repeat it, it creates momentum. And what happens with that? It starts strengthening your identity. You start becoming so secure in who you are and how you want to present to the world. And your core values come to the forefront. Your integrity gets revitalized because you know who you are. And then what happens? Number 4, it opens new pathways. That is the thing, beloved. It opens new pathways. So taking aligned action will build confidence, creates momentum, strengthens your identity, and opens new pathways. And that is the thing that you will never come to see and know until you take a step, until you actually move, right? So here's the one alignment rule. The one alignment rule. This week, I want you to use the spiritual success principle. You're going to take 100% responsibility for your own spiritual success. You will not blame anyone or anything for what appears to be lacking in your life. So I want you to choose one aligned action per day this week. Now, last week we just chose one action. We gave ourselves 7 days to get it done. I did it with you guys, and I got my one thing done. It was Friday, but I got it done, right? But now we want to up the ante. We want to rinse and repeat. So what we want to do today is the one alignment rule. Pick one aligned action per day. So it's going to take you to sit for a minute and just jot down very quickly, no editing, no big bang, nothing, and just come up with one thing you want to do. Don't make it difficult. Don't look for different categories and break it down and all of that. You don't want to overprocess. You don't want to overthink. Just one aligned action per day. And then each day, we want you to complete it fully. No overthinking, just get in action. All of this is just to get you moving, to get in action. Move, take action, move, take action, right? How am I meant to say? Choice, action, action. All in alignment and agreement. No overthinking, just move. So when we come back next week, I want to hear the praise report, the victory report, the celebration. Because that's what you're going to do. You're going to celebrate every day. After that one action is fully complete, celebrate. It could be as simple as a yay, a power pose, anything. celebrate and acknowledge, and then repeat it. Do not allow the ego mind to creep in on day 2 or 3, as I teach in the 1 and 7, how to rapidly activate change in your life. Day 3 is critical. Most people don't make it to day 3 consistently, right? When we come back, we want to have a win. Okay? So what can you do? Teeny tiny steps, beloved. It could be as simple as send a message, set a clear boundary, start a project, right? Rest when guided to rest. One small action, right? So let's just take a good healing deep breath in and exhale. We close the gap. We close the gap between what you know, because trust me when I tell you, you already know enough. You know enough. You have the answers. You know what to do. Now we want to bridge that gap between what you know and what you actually do, because that's what's going to bring results. All right? So breathe again. We're closing the gap between what you've been delaying. What have you been delaying? There's some things I've been putting off. I can honestly say it's been a couple of years. There's some books that need to be published, years. What have you been delaying? It could be as simple as cleaning out your closet, rearranging your kitchen cabinets. Whatever it is, beloved, this is the week for movement, for action. Make the phone call, make the connection, send the message. But we want aligned action, the action that's going to move you forward in your true desire. So I want you to affirm this. Here's our prayer affirmation. I want you to affirm this. I trust what I know. I move in alignment. I follow through with clarity and power. I trust what I know. I move in divine alignment. I follow through with clarity and power, so that I am intentional with what I'm doing. So, beloved, are you ready now to really shift to this aligned action and produce true and lasting results? This is your first step. Go and schedule a complimentary one-on-one alignment activation call with me. If you've never done that, I'm going to go ahead and put the URL up here. All right. There it is. It should be there. I'm not seeing it come up. Let me see. It's off. Show on. Okay. Something is saying this is off. Okay. I don't know why. All right. Let me get the QR code. Here, well, let's see. And go ahead and you could click that. For those that, if it's not coming through, that is ilonasanders.com/schedule. ilonasanders.com/schedule. Go there and book your clarity call, your align activation call, and we'll get together. And it's all about the movement, beloved. Trust me when I tell you, nothing happens until something moves. We want to take aligned action. So what's the assignment this week? One aligned action a day. Make it small enough, beloved. You want to set yourself up for success, not for failure. Not write the book and publish the book this week. You don't want to set yourself up for failure, especially if you know you've been procrastinating. You've been in delay. You want one teeny tiny thing you could do, and you want to do one thing every day. And then we rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat till you start building that momentum, until that momentum turns into action that will work for you and start getting you results, right? So that's what we want. We want the big mo to come into place, because that's going to strengthen your identity. And when your identity is strengthened, you're ready for new pathways to open. All right, deep breath in and exhale. All right, beloved, we're sowing seed today. Listen to your heart. So whatever your heart desires you to sow, and you know you could always sow at EloniaSanders.com. All right, share this on your timeline, like it, leave a comment. Until our next spiritual success connection. Bye for now, beloved. Bye for now.